Hello, sir. Shall we start?
Yeah, we can start.
Okay. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. A very warm good evening to everyone, and I welcome you all to this platform for Faculty Development Program. I request everyone to please mute your mic for better experience unless asked. Okay. Before we begin, let me introduce myself since my face might be quite unfamiliar for some of you. My name is Srilakshmi. I'm working as faculty under PG Department of Commerce, St. Aloysius College. So, in this evening, we have gathered for a faculty development program organized by St. Aloysius College along with St. Chavra Center for Teaching Excellence and Innovation. So, let's begin the program. For that, I first invite our principal of St. Aloysius College, Dr. Chaco Joseph, for the welcome address.
Thank you, Sri Lakshmi. The speaker of the day, Mr. Joe John George, DRR consultant, UNICEF, other faculty members who have joined from different parts of the country and even from outside India. Um, the coordinator of St. Javara Center for Teaching Excellence and Education Innovation, Dr. Sindhu Jacob, the IQAC coordinator of the college, Dr. Libizan KB, other faculty members, and my dear friends. Today, we have another faculty development program in the series of faculty development programs that are being organized by St. Javra Center for Teaching Excellence and Education Innovation of St. Aloysius College. As those of you who follow us in our programs know that we organize one online lecture every month for the benefit of faculty members, especially young faculty members. So we choose topics that are relevant to the academic community in the broader sense, and we try to bring in the best possible resource persons to deliver a lecture on the selected topic. So today we have a very interesting topic which is not normally dealt in the academic sphere by academicians. It's disaster risk reduction in the context of resilience building among youth. So, as you know, in the face of escalating climate related changes, the concept of emphasizing on risk reduction within a broader framework of resilience building with a special focus on the pivotal role of youth and students, it's very important. Recognizing the demographic strength and the dynamics of youth, this could be an initiative to empower them as catalysts for change in disaster-prone regions. The core objective is to engage and mobilize youth communities towards building resilience at local levels, fostering a cultural change, transition, and actively contributing to sustainable development. By imparting knowledge on disaster risk reduction strategies, we hope the academic community will benefit to harness the technological advancements and promote community-based initiatives among the youth. The initiative ensures collaborative efforts between government bodies, non-government organizations, and educational institutions to provide youth with the necessary skills. By this session, we hope youth-centric approach to disaster reduction can be adopted by educational institutions. So today we have a very eminent resource person, Mr. John George, who is a disaster reduction consultant of the UNICEF. He will be introduced formally after this, so I'm not going into the formal introduction, but he is a disaster reduction consultant who is engaged in disaster reduction activities, not only in India, but in other countries as well. He regularly interacts with experts and panels to impart knowledge on disaster risk reduction and in bringing awareness among the general public on the importance of disaster management. So when I discussed with Joe John George of the possibility of having a session for academic community, because we felt that academic community is not that much aware of this concept, though it is very important. So he said he's very much willing to speak about the topic, focusing on the role of academic community in building resilience among youth. So, on behalf of St. Chavara Center for Teaching Excellence and Education Innovation and St. Aloysius College, I extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Joe John George to this session. Welcome. I also welcome the delegates who have the participants who have joined from different parts of the globe. I should say I can see participants from outside India also, and there are participants who are also watching this program through YouTube. So I welcome all those who are watching this program from different parts of the globe for this session. I also welcome the faculty members and other staff members of St. Aloysius College who are participating in this program. As you know, this program will have an initial lecture by the resource person for 50 to 60 minutes, and then you will have 10 to 15 minutes for interaction. You can either ask questions directly after the presentation, or you can type in your queries in the chat box, either Google Google Meet or in YouTube. So I hope all of us can make the best use of this session. So I once again welcome all of you to this session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, my duty is to invite Joe John George, who is the trainer for us for today's session. Let me give you a brief introduction. As our principal said, this is a formal introduction. So, he's a trained social worker who has been working in the field of disaster risk reduction and climatic action for over 17 years. He has worked with the Kerala State Disaster Management Authority, Government of Kerala, for around 8 years in the capacity of State Project Officer, as well as with the UN organizations like UNICEF and UNDP and international NGOs like World Vision in different parts of India, including Andaman Islands, Chhattisgarh, Pune, Nagpur, and Kerala. He has also taken up short term international assignments in the US, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. While working with Kerala State Disaster Management Authority, he provided leadership in implementing the Disability Inclusive Disaster Risk Reduction Project and became an expert in preparing persons with disabilities and their caregivers to face disaster or climate extreme events like flood and landslides. He has also authored a handbook and also has experience in implementing hospital safety programs, school safety, etc. He currently works as a consultant through UNICEF in Kerala and has facilitated the formation of state level climate action platform for children and youth as a joint effort of Kerala Legislative Assembly and UNICEF. It is my immense pleasure to welcome you, sir, and the session will be concluded by Mr. Joe John George. Thank you.
So shall I start?
Yes, you can start.
Yes. Thank you very much for this detailed introduction and welcome. And it is my pleasure to take part in this session. Especially, I would like to thank Dr. Chacko for inviting me and having me for this talk. And also, good evening to many who have joined online. Even the post-COVID sessions, I thought people would be less, but I can see many participants joined from various parts of the country and, as mentioned, even from abroad. So it's a very relevant topic which has been given: disaster risk reduction and engaging of youth to enhance their resilience. So I would use presentation for my talk. And as mentioned, perhaps after the session, you can ask questions. So the topic, as mentioned, disaster risk reduction in the context of resilience building among youth is the topic. So I'm not able to see any of you, maybe due to this Google platform. However, I hope you can see my screen, and the slides are progressing.
Yeah, the slides are visible. Probably you can maximize the slides. That's all.
I have maximized. Can you see it in a full screen mode? I have done that.
Yeah, but I think we see it in the other mode, not the full.
Okay, 1 minute. Let me try.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Now it is full screen?
No.
Okay. Sir, how about it now?
It's the
Still
same.
the same.
Yeah, I think share the entire screen option. Yeah, if you take the share the.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Perfect. Thank you. So in the I'll just give a background of the disaster risk reduction and disaster risk management programs, and at the global level and also at the national level. In some slides, I would give a specific reference to Kerala, where I am from, and I also understand most of the participants are also from Kerala. So I will take some reference to Kerala and also give you some examples where the state government has done some initiatives on youth engagement in Kerala. When we look at the World Disaster Report of 2022, we see that the world over, the disasters have increased, and the most affected countries, the first 10 most affected countries in the world, happens to be also included, including India. India is also included in that list. We see that 23.5 million people were affected due to disasters for the year 2020 and 21. And the same report says that the number of disasters have increased from the previous year, 433 in 2020 to 529, out of which 338 are climate related disasters. So what are climate related disasters? Generally, disasters, when we kind of distinguish between the disasters, we generally divide it into two basic types. That is, one is the natural disasters or natural hazards. Generally, we call it as natural disasters, but now the experts say that there is nothing known as natural disasters, but only natural hazards. And the second type is the anthropogenic. These are the very two broad types of disasters. However, we can divide further it into geological disasters, climate related disasters, hydrometeorological disasters, so on and so forth. So here we see from the slide that in 2020, the climate related disasters were only 303, and there has been an increase in 2021 to 338, and further it would be increasing. As you may be aware and agree with me that the climate related disasters, which are the climate related disasters, definitely you are teachers, I should not be asking questions to you, but out of maybe just to generate some interest and to be participative, perhaps if you can, if you're able to unmute and tell me, that is also fine. I don't mind. Anyway, so the climate related disasters are cyclones, floods, droughts, lightning. So these are all climate related disasters. In the same report, it mentions that out of all the countries, the number of fatalities, number of deaths due to disasters, you see that India tops the list. In India, 4,743 people or human lives were lost, which is a staggering big number for a year. Again, when you look at the COVID and other disasters, we see that around the globe, around 65 lakhs of people were, were affected, or they have died due to disasters. A COVID disaster. Of course, COVID is also considered to be one of the pandemic and disaster also. In India, the first COVID case was identified in Thrissur district, the student who returned from Wuhan, China. And followed to that, the state declared it as a state-specific disaster. And further, WHO also agreed to it, and around the globe it was considered to be a global emergency. In Kerala, when we look at the COVID death numbers, we see that around 70,000 plus people have lost their lives due to COVID. This is a report by India Meteorological Department, which says that 2,227 people in India were killed just in 2022. This is a report done by the IMD itself. So coming to the point that what is a disaster? So what constitutes a disaster? As we are looking at youth also, I would like to ask uh, by which accident, generally in India or even in Kerala, by which accident maximum number of people lose their lives in India, out of which a big number is the youth. We see that road accidents, road accidents claim the maximum number of lives in India, even in Kerala. The numbers say that 4,000 plus people die due to road accidents in India. Followed to that, drowning deaths, people who die due to drowning, also is a big number. In Kerala, it is 1,500 people approximately every year. Can we call these two as disasters, or are these just accidents? What is your view on that? Anyone would like to try to respond to my question? My question is there a difference between a disaster and an accident? Definitely, there is a difference. We see that in India, as I said, the maximum number of people die due to an accident, road accident, is a disaster or an accident. That was my question. So we see that there is a financial implication for a disaster. In India, if you take any state, whether it is Kerala or Delhi or Northeast or West, wherever it is, there is a relief norms. In the sense, a person who died due to a disaster like flood or landslide or lightning, the government has to pay an amount, because a disaster is beyond the capacity of a human, right? So that is according to the Disaster Management Act 2005. We see that it's a disruption of functioning of a community which is beyond their capacity to mitigate, right? In the sense, they cannot prevent a hazard. We cannot prevent rains. We cannot prevent a cyclone, but definitely we can prevent a disaster. In the sense, we can reduce the risk of a disaster and we can prevent a disaster technically, but we cannot prevent a hazard. So there is a difference between hazard. There is a difference. Hazard and disaster, and there is a difference between an accident and a disaster. So to answer my question, the government has to pay 4 lakhs, minimum of 4 lakhs Indian rupees to a person, in the sense to a nominee of a person who dies due to a disaster. Whereas in an accident, government is not liable to pay because it happens due to perhaps, overseeing or overlooking of safety protocols, or not wearing a helmet, or overspeeding, all those. And hence there is a difference between an accident. But for us, the maximum number of youth, we lose the youths to road accidents in India and to drowning. I'll come to that after some slides. So, as for any profession, we have certain terminologies. I'm not going into details, or I'm not going to kind of elaborate on the definitions of these. However, I would like to just give you some clarity on the terminologies and what it means. As you can see from the pictures itself, there is a hazard, which is the stone. There is a vulnerability, which is a person. And when the stone is rolling over this person, we call it as a disaster. As I said earlier, there are hazards around us. In our house, there would be hazards, hazard points like fire. All these are hazards. But when it is affecting a person, when the rains affect the person, the community as floods, then we call it as a disaster. So that is the difference between hazard and a disaster. And vulnerability, definitely, it is the incapacity of a person or a community to absorb the effect of gradual or sudden loss. You know, and that is where we bring in the term disaster risk reduction. It is no more managing the disasters, but reducing the risk, mitigating the risk. So this is a technical terminology. As you may be aware already, disaster management is a course in many universities, even in Kerala. Even IIT Roorkee has a MTech in disaster management. In MG University, environmental science and disaster management. And in this, there are courses like MSc in disaster management. At the same time, they also have Master of Arts in disaster management. So disaster management is a multidisciplinary subject, and we have to approach it multi-sectorally. So as introduced, I am from social work background. I am not from an engineering background, but engineers are also needed in disaster management or disaster risk reduction. Planners, urban planners are needed. Environment planners are needed. Psychologists are needed. Geographers are needed. Geologists are needed. You name any discipline, they are needed for a disaster risk reduction. So everyone, and whatever course that you teach in your college, they have a link to disaster management or disaster risk reduction. So these are the picture shows some of the examples as to how to mitigate the risk of that stone falling on that person. So it's a very simple illustration. The same thing will apply to states, to countries, to the community at large. So again, disaster risk, there is a term, disaster risk reduction. So I need not go in detail. When we look at the evolution of disaster management at the global level, definitely disasters have been there, part and parcel of our history in ancient times itself. But when we look at disaster management as a discipline, as a profession, we see that since UN came into force and 1970s onwards, the United Nations Disaster Relief Office was formed, and since then we see that 2000 some milestones I will highlight. 2005 Hyogo framework came into picture, and now we are in the Sendai framework period, which started in 2015 and which will go up to 2030. And 2015, definitely three major treaties, international treaties, came into being, including Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals, and also the Paris Agreement. These three are interconnected. you know. The Sendai framework, just to give you a brief of Sendai framework, we have 4 priorities for action in the Sendai framework and 7 global targets: 4 things to reduce and 3 things to increase. So India is also a signatory to this, along with around 176 other countries. So we report to this framework at the global level, and it is being monitored. Even at the state level, we have a Sendai framework person consultant working with the state disaster management authority, who gives the data, number of deaths, number of people affected, damaged, loss and damage details, and all that. They feed into the Sendai monitoring platform. Coming to India, we see that in 1999 onwards, there have been some progress, some developments in disaster risk reduction or disaster management sector as such. We see that in the earlier years, disaster means drought. It means affecting the farmers, agriculture produce, you know. So it was the responsibility of the agriculture ministry at the national level to look at disasters, and mainly those times it was drought and followed by a famine. You would be aware about the Bengal famine and all. You would have heard about it. And in 2002, this ministry got transferred to the Ministry of Home Affairs. So even now, the Ministry of Home Affairs look at the disasters as a whole in the country, even now. And in 2005, National Disaster Management Authority got established, followed by, in the sense, it followed the Disaster Management Act directive, and that is how National Disaster Management Authority was established. And it was also included in the 7th schedule of the Constitution. So the act, as I mentioned, it was how this came. I mean, how a strong act, Disaster Management Act, came into being. This is the history, or the background is due to 3 major hazard events, 3 major disasters which happened in different parts of the country. Super cyclone Odisha, you would have heard about this cyclone, 1999, where we did not have much early warning mechanism in the country, not even in Odisha, and we lost at least 10,000 plus people in super cyclone Odisha. And in 2001, there was an earthquake in Gujarat, Bhuj earthquake, 26th of January. Around 13,000 people died due to this earthquake. In fact, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the then Chief Minister in Gujarat. And again, after 2 years, we had this Indian Ocean tsunami, 2004. Thousands of people died. In fact, there is no exact number of people who died, because it was affected in various countries, not only in India, Indonesia, and many other countries got affected. So these 3 series of events, disaster events, paved way to formulate a national legislation known as Disaster Management Act, which is a very powerful legislation in India. You may be aware that even wearing a mask during COVID was enforced by this act, and any use of sanitizer, physical distancing, all this were by the provisions made in this, because there are some offenses and penalties given in this act, and hence it is a very powerful legislation. When we look at the disaster risks of India, definitely it is a multi-hazard prone area. We have all these disasters. Unlike other countries, some of the countries are safe, but we have a huge coastline. Many states are in the coast, and many areas are under the Himalayan region, where avalanche or snowfall and even landslides happen. So we are in a very a very prone area, and the multi-hazard prone districts. The map is shown in this. We see that including Kerala. So coming to the list of disasters, as I asked earlier. So how do we differentiate a disaster from an accident? If a person is bit by a snake, what do you call? You know, or if electric shock, something like that. So there are many accidents which happen, and there are many disasters. So at the government of India level, the Ministry of Home Affairs and every finance commission, they notify the list of disasters. So these are the 13 disasters as notified by the government of India. So as I mentioned earlier, the 4 lakhs will go, or they are liable to give only if a person is dying due to this disaster. At the same time, the Disaster Management Act also provisions the State Disaster Management Authority with special powers to address state-specific disasters. So, as I have given two separate lists, that implies that the 6 disasters which I have given under Kerala, those are state-specific disasters. So, lightning is not yet considered to be a disaster at the national level. So when there is lightning and a person dies due to disaster due to lightning, the government of Kerala has to provide the entire amount, that is 4 lakhs, completely from the state. Whereas if it is a cyclone, then 75% by the government of India and 25% by the state government. And in northeastern states, it is 90:10. That is the ratio. So coastal erosion, strong winds, all those are considered to be the state-specific disasters. So as you can see, accidents are excluded from this list. However, I'm just giving you an information that in special circumstances, some accidents which are proved to be due to the negligence of maybe government or roads or signal, traffic signals or something like that, where the cabinet takes a decision to provide some relief, may not be 4 lakhs, but 2 lakhs or 1 lakh or 5 lakhs or even 10 lakhs. It can be decided by the cabinet, and the Chief Minister's Distress Relief Fund, CMDRF, which is constituted at the state level in all the states. The funds from there can be used under the discretion of the cabinet. So that is perhaps some of you might be having a doubt. In some cases, in many states, people were given that relief amount. So this is the multi-hazard zone map of Kerala. As you can see again, India is a multi-hazard country. At the same time, when we look at Kerala is also a multi-hazard state. We see a long coast, around nine districts are in the coast, bordering the sea. So we have a lot of sea-related disasters, ocean-related disasters. We have the Western Ghats. Again, we have landslides and floods in the coast, in the Midlands, by floods, lightning. Even in some places, we also had earthquakes like Kottayam in Thrissur, in Ernakulam. In some locations, we had some tremors in the past. So at the national level, when we look at the mechanism, the institutional mechanism, we see the National Disaster Management Authority by Honorable Prime Minister. We have the State Disaster Management Authority headed by Honorable Chief Minister. We have the DDMAs, District Disaster Management Authority, headed by or chaired by District Collector and co-chaired by the District Panchayat Presidents. These are functional in all the states of India, which is a good thing. In the state of Kerala also, DDMAs are very active, and they have 24/7 control rooms at the district level also. So when we generally teach about disaster risk reduction or disaster management, we generally also introduce a cycle which has 4 phases: the preparedness phase, the response phase, the recovery, and mitigation. So in all these 4 phases, the academic, especially at the education institutions, the universities, have a role to play, especially at the preparedness phase and mitigation phase. And the response phase generally, definitely when we look at the 2018 floods, many youths were involved in response also. But generally, the response is headed or guided by the uniformed forces, the fire and rescue, the police, the NDRF, the defense forces, the civil defense, and those who are trained, because it mainly includes rescue and you know, the rescue and evacuation and all that. Saving lives is the main business during the response phase, whereas in mitigation phase is education, awareness, assessments, improved infrastructure, the national emergency telecommunication during the preparedness. The difference between mitigation and preparedness is that the preparedness phase happens generally just before a disaster or an impending hazard, right? If there is a upcoming monsoon in June, then the preparedness phase starts during April, May, cleaning, desilting, preparing for the rains, early morning systems to be enhanced, last mile connectivity to be ensured, all these things, the SOPs in place, mock drills to be conducted, and all that. Recovery is more like after the disaster, after the response, preparing the community to get into normalcy, back into their formal, and former lives and setup. So these are the four different phases of disaster management. So we have a legislative framework. As I mentioned, the Disaster Management Act is there, National DM Plan is there, and many other. Not getting into details due to lack of time. So the SOPs also play a very important role as to what you should do when and who should do what, kind of a thing. So every disaster, we cannot have this again and again to be told or directed to the respective departments or people, and hence the state has a well laid SOPs. As you can see, I've just given one example where it is of the rainfall. We would have heard about IMD giving red alert or orange alert or yellow alert. So when there is an extremely heavy rainfall, which is about 244 of rain, expected rain, the direction has been given at the state level to the hospitals, the transport department, local self-governments, KSCB, district offices, KSCB, police, all this, when to declare a holiday also has been mentioned here. So this is laid because every time when there is a disaster hitting us, we need not look or seek for directions. It is already laid and people are expected to fall in place and take assumed duties. So now coming to the second part, that is resilience building among youth. Till now, I was giving you an overview of disaster management in India, and even some examples of how it was in around the world. And now coming to the next portion of the session, that is the resilience building among youth. So I will keep the time for questions after this. So youths in India, uh, at the national level, we look at youth from the age group of 15 to 29, whereas in UN we look at 15 to 24. 27.5% of our population is youth. Maybe this would have changed. This is a little earlier data. 34% of the gross national income is contributed by youths. Studies say that. As I mentioned earlier, we lose our precious youths to road accidents and even drowning deaths. If you look at the recent media reports, newspapers reports, because of soaring temperature these days, people tend to go to some pond or some rivers, dams, and all that, and many have lost their lives recently in Kerala, which is a very sad and unfortunate thing. So how do we educate our youths to be more safe in the water bodies? And when we support them, definitely, as many of you are teachers, when we support our students, when we help the students It is also important that we also be safe when we try to make others safe. So I'll just give one example from NSS, because NSS is widely present in all the campuses in Kerala and also around the country. So NSS, out of their mandate, the point number 9 says that develop capacity to meet emergencies and natural disasters. So NSS units, they have thousands of members in Kerala itself, and in national level, we also have Nehru Yuva Kendra and many other youth initiatives. So we have plenty of youths in all these platforms. So when we engage with them through these measures, let us also be mindful of engaging them to enhance their skills in life-saving things like first aid, firefighting, survival skills during emergencies like floods and cyclones and landslides, rescue works, and all that. The motto of NSS itself says that it is not me but you. Helping others is their motto. Out of these priority areas of NSS, there are 11 priority areas, especially ninth priority area is youth engagement for all these activities. And coming to resilience, what do we mean by resilience? Resilience is the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties. You would have seen some communities like, if I take an example in Kerala, the Kutanad area, where uh, every year they witness floods and they go through the floods, but on the next day they get back to normalcy, they get back to their normal lives, they recover quickly from difficulties. They are a resilient community, we can call them as a resilient community. Mumbai city, they are very resilient community. However, many communities are not so resilient. For example, Odisha, the coastal community in Odisha, the super cyclone lashed them, and they took years to come back to recover. And the repeated disasters in India put them again at risk time and again, right? So, how to make people resilient? How to make our youth resilient? I'll give you an example with this kind of a illustration. The spring, if you use a spring to give a pressure from either sides, the spring will shrink, right? And when we release the pressure, the spring will get back to the normal life, normal figure or normal size, without affecting in their length or breadth or anything like that, right? So that is what we also look at disaster resilience. So when we live in this world, especially in India and in Kerala, we should expect climate extreme events, as the climate change is real and it is around us. So we cannot dream of a place where we are safe from all the climate hazards or all the accidents. If we have to ride on a road in any place, we should also be expecting some accidents, right? Likewise, when we live in this world, we can expect some natural hazards. The idea is that how do we absorb the shock and bounce back better? That is the idea of such sessions, even this session also. So why disaster risk reduction? We have to reduce the risk. I have showed you what is a risk, and reduce these risks and enhance our capacity to face the hazards and disasters around us. So that is the sum total of enhancing resilience. Now, coming to institutional disaster preparedness, as many of you are working, or most of you are working in colleges or universities, I would like to give this idea to you. Perhaps you may not have done such a thing in your college or institution, whereas in schools this is widely been done. Even at the national level, we have a school safety guideline. At the state level also we have, and we are closely monitoring around 18,000 schools in the state. But this is not there, unfortunately, in the colleges. And hence, I would like to just give you a brief about what we can do in our campuses to ensure safety of students and teachers in our campuses. One is that prepare a disaster management or safety plan for the institution. So if your institution is on a coastal belt, so you can expect a tsunami or a flood or a coastal erosion or a cyclone or storm surge, all those, So we have to list out the probable hazards which can affect our institution and prepare a plan as to how we can withstand, how we can be resilient through these hazards. Second, formulate a disaster management committee in the institution. To help in preparing the plan, we need to have a formal mechanism. Who does what? Who will make a plan? Who will draft it? Who will make some hazard maps? You will have definitely students to support you, but you may also need some experts to do it. So there is a template as to how you should have the plan, which maybe I can share with you later. So as it's the first meeting, I thought I'll just give you an overview as to how we can prepare. And if you're interested, definitely I can support you with the template and all that. Then SOPs. What are the SOPs? If there is a fire, many of the colleges will have a canteen running at least from 9 to evening. Or if you have a hostel, it would be running even during dinner time. So there is a possibility of a fire in the kitchen. So, in case there is a fire, what is the protocol? Who will call the fire personnel? Who will use the fire extinguisher? Are fire extinguishers available in the campus? Is it installed? If it is installed, is it being replenished time and again as it, beyond expiry? Who are trained to use it? Do you have a first aid kit in? So all those questions would be there. And not only fire, there could be earthquake, there could be big events. Here I would like to highlight the unfortunate event which happened in QSAT. It was within the campus. There was a big event organized. Everything was set in place. However, unforeseen things happened, and that is where we have to prepare for the unforeseen events, so that we would be safe, our teachers and also the students. So how do we organize big events, big conferences, big ganamelas, orchestra, all this, when people come even from outside the campus? So how do we do that? What are the protocols, safety protocols? Have we done any drill on such events? All this. So I was part of the FIFA Under 17 World Cup, which happened in Kallur, Ernakulam. So we had a drill prior to it because it was FIFA standards. Even now, we when the IPL happens, the Ernakulam district administration do conduct regular drills in Kochi. So how to prepare for it? Definitely, it needs a lot of practice, a lot of preparation. Incident command system flowchart is also needed. Naturally, the head of the institution would be the incident commander for any incident, whether it is a natural hazard or even any other riots or anything like that. When there are some events in some colleges, it is the students wait for some big events to have some fights and riots like that. So how do we prepare, and what is the incident command system? Who is the nearest police officials from your institution? Which is the nearest fire point, in the sense fire and rescue services office, and many other health facilities, all those. Hazard hunt exercises in the institution. So every institution will have some hazards. There won't be any place which are free of hazards. Electrical units, computer rooms, laboratories, all these are hazard places. So how do we identify such places, and how do we insulate such places from uh, turning into a disaster. So hazards would be there, and through these exercises, maybe during an NSS NSS camp or something like that, we can utilize this resources of the students and help them to prepare hazard maps and identify the hazards and prepare for it. And number six, skill training for students and teachers in regular intervals. Definitely, it is much needed. The teachers should be trained in firefighting. Teachers should be trained in using fire extinguishers, giving first aid like CPR, choking, fractures, burns, all this. So because teachers would be the primary custodians of students when they are in the class, and the students also need first aid skills, um, survival skills. They should know what to do in case of a fire. Should they run if their clothes are catching fire? Should they run, or should they stop, drop, and roll? So these are some survival skills which generally we teach in the campuses and among the students. Conduct mock drills. So when the plan is made, the plan has to be tested. As I said in the first point, preparing a disaster management plan. And when the plan is prepared with all these matters like committee and SOPs and incident command system and all that, hazard hunts and all that, to test the plan, generally we do conduct mock drills. So mock drills, I will come to it in detail after some slides. So mock drills, I would definitely suggest to conduct it at least twice in a year in your institution. Observe important days like International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, or Environment Day, or many other days. Road Safety Week is there, and many such days are there. UN days or even national days, and there we can utilize those days to impart such training among the youths. Incorporate disaster preparedness sessions into NSS camps. Every year we have NSS camps during December. So those times, even last year also, we were engaged in some sessions among the NSS youths. And business continuity plan, meaning how to make our institution functional irrespective of being hit by hazards, right? Many a times we may give holidays in when there is a red alert. So generally what happens is we give a holiday, right? We give a holiday and the children are happy, teachers are also happy. uh, but we lose those days. So what is our plan B? Does the institution have a plan B when there is a red alert for 3 days? Can the college function on an online mode, virtual mode, or can the college function in some other place if the college is flooded or affected due to a disaster? Can it be prioritized for some sessions from some classes for a particular day, forenoon session and afternoon? How to handle those classes without compromising the education of the students? If it is just for a day, it is fine, but if it is happening for a long time, then definitely, like in 2018 floods, many institutions were shut even for one month, whole month. So if your institution is in a flood prone area, definitely we should need some continuity plan. How are we going to function? It might happen maybe once in 20 years, but do we have a plan is the question. So these are some doable things which I thought would be helpful for you, as you all represent some or the other institution. You may would like to try out. May not be all these 10, but at least few of these doable things which you can try. Now, coming to mock drill. Mock drill also plays a very critical role to reduce the impact of disasters, to help us to identify and to gauge ourselves as to where we stand. Should we enhance our capacity? Should we do something else? Or such things we can test. First, Again, I'm giving some point by point, some doable actions. One is, first we have to decide on the theme of the drill. Generally, everyone will take fire as uh, a theme. Uh, Definitely, you can take that because it is very common, not only in institution but also in at our, in our houses also, from the kitchen and all that. So it is good to look at fire, but not just fire. We can look at cyclones, we can look at landslides, we can look at earthquakes, we can look at even COVID related, diseases, such diseases I meant, like COVID. Then incident commander, head of the institution, should take the leadership to do it. Then observers should be there. Generally, what happens, we will not assign observers. Whatever we do, we feel proud about it and we feel good about. We applaud ourselves and we disperse. That is not the right way to do mock drills. We should have observers, even from outside the institution, so that critical feedback is given to the organizers. Evacuation of students and teachers based on the drill. Every hazard need not have evacuation. Whenever there is an evacuation like earthquake or fire, uh, we definitely need evacuation drills. Just recently we did it in Trivandrum corporation jurisdiction. Around 25 schools, 5,000 plus students were evacuated from all these schools. We gave a drill in these schools. Similarly, we have done it in the Secretariat in Kerala, Trivandrum, and in many other government offices also. Um, Another thing is regarding the assembling area. How many of you have assembling areas in your institution? Have you identified an assembling area? How far is the assembling area from each of their classes? Uh, how safe is the assembling area? What is the size of the assembling area? How many can be accommodated in the assembling area? Are the assembling area signages displayed on the walls of the institution? So all these questions arise when we talk about assembling area. In case you do not have a signage of assembling area, definitely we need it, and the teacher and the students should be taught as to how they should evacuate and safely reach the assembling area. And if needed, we should also take the help from fire, police, revenue, local self government bodies like Panchayat president or secretary, or ward members, councillors. All those people can be called to support you for the drill. So the drill is not a demonstration. Generally, what happens is we call the fire and they will come and demonstrate the drill or the firefighting drill, but that is not all. We need to test the plan. We need to test the institutional disaster management plan, and hence the drill would be primarily be conducted by the staff of the staff and students of the institution, and other departments will only support the institution. So hope that is clear. Then debriefing session under the incident commander is also very important, because after the drill, when the drill is called off, when everyone is safe and can be dispersed, it should be you should make it a point that the positive things, the strengths should be discussed. At the same time, you also should look at what are the things that should be addressed immediately. For example, when you do a fire drill and you realize that you have very less fire extinguishers, or you do not have fire extinguishers, so that should be the immediate actionable points. And long term things also should be there, like structural safety of the institution. Maybe some parts of the institution like canteen or hostel may not be in a very good condition structurally. So there you may have to put some budget and look at restructuring or reinforcing the building and all that. So retrofitting and all. So that you should look into. And training teachers and non-teaching staff and students to prepare for a real event. So the mock drills are definitely to prepare us for a real event, like a army soldier. The soldier may be practicing throughout his career, but he may not be, if he is lucky enough, he may not be witnessing a real war in his career. Likewise, when we do mock drill, we may be doing it every once in 6 months. And if we are lucky enough, we can, if we are prepared well, definitely we will not face a disaster in our career or in our life. So let that be the aim of it. And involve the neighboring communities. Here I would like to elaborate. This means that whenever there is a fire or an emergency in an institution, definitely the immediate responders are the officials and students of that institution. At the same time, especially in states like Kerala, people from the near neighboring communities, auto rickshaw drivers, head load workers, the local people, police, everyone will come and help to support you. Maybe some of them will also come and take photographs, but we can ignore them. But many come to help you, but they are not trained, in the sense, one, they are not trained well. Secondly, they are new to the institution. They have never visited your institution. They do not know who is the principal. They do not know who is the person in charge of safety, or they do not know uh, where the main electrical circuit is, or where are the extinguishers. So they are not aware, but they are ready to help. So in such a situation, we are not able to utilize their resources or utilize the human resources which are available. And hence, these communities may be given training and a tour of your services or your facility, so that at times of emergency, they can be of support to you. So have a team of neighboring members, communities in your WhatsApp contact list. Once in a year, you call them, give a tea, biscuits, help them, have a friendly chat with them, and call them for the drill, so they also be partakers of that, right? So that you can look into. And also look at institutions which are on the state highway corridors, where the road accidents would be at large. So help them, support them, especially students. Even recently, I remember an accident took place in Kerala, just outside the campus on the road. So these are some protocols and best practices which we can look into. This will definitely directly benefit the youth to build their resilience. So the assessment and way forward, as I mentioned already, and conduct the drill repeatedly. Now coming to early warning and forecast. So I will stop in maybe another 5 to 10 minutes. Early warning also plays a very important role in disaster risk reduction. And now, due to the advancement of science and technology, we have, uh, you know, prior warning available at the national level by various agencies. I'll just go through it. Most of the hazards that we have warning: rainfall, cyclone, strong wind, tsunami, high waves, heat wave, lightning, all those we have. So IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, is the only institution at the Government of India level to provide early warning for rainfall, lightning, um, wind, storms, cyclones, heat wave, and all that. So they play a very important role in providing early warning to all the states in the country, and they are the only one. So definitely there are private players, but as government agency, the governments are directed to receive warning from them, and they can utilize their services. And in Kerala, what we do is the State Disaster Management Authority analyze the warning which is given to them, and they provide user-friendly layman maps, so that people understand which district is in red, which district is in yellow, which district is in green, and all that. So definitely red, when there is a red alert, it is critical to be safe, because we can expect very heavy or extremely heavy rain, right? So this has been given by the IMD. It is available on their website. I have already mentioned their website. You can look at it, so that we know what is when, kind of a thing. and they provide the warning thrice a day, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. And the other institution is INCOIS, International Center for Ocean Information Services, which is again a Government of India institution, which is located at Hyderabad. They provide early warning for tsunami and high waves. So during the 2004 tsunami, we did not have anything like that. Only after that, the government looked at it, and now we have a robust system of early warning of tsunami. Central Water Commission provides early warning for floods, and we have river gauges in flood warning system in many of the rivers in Kerala and also across India. Every state has a state disaster management authority, and the state disaster management authorities will provide warnings which are received from these Government of India institutions, and they will provide it through their websites. So this is a screenshot of Kerala SDMA. Some useful mobile applications I would like to introduce. One is First Aid. National Disaster Management Authority and Indian Red Cross combined or joint venture of it, and you can look at it, the First Aid application. We also have Snakepedia, the private player, but it's very useful Android application. You can download it and keep it, which has rescuers, details of rescuers, treatment, first aid, hospitals, antivenom, all those availability and all that. And for lightning, we have a Damini lightning alert by the AMD. We have Mausam from IMD. Lightning alert is a recent phenomena. Earlier it was not there, but now we can see the georeferencing wherever we are. If you switch on the Android app, we can see whether we are in the lightning strike zone. If it is there, then it would be red, or you can, as you can see, it would be in green. Okay, so this is the lightning alert. And there is a resource inventory because resources are definitely very useful during an emergency. In Kavalapara, Malappuram in 2019, we had brought canine dogs, sniffer dogs from Hyderabad. So in every disaster, many types of resources are needed. And Government of India has this portal, which is a very good portal for resources. Around 740 districts have uploaded their details here, including all the districts of Kerala. You can look at it. This is the website, idrn.nidm.gov.in. Three types of resources are available here. Lack of time, I'm not showing you a trial run, but you can go to this website and look at it, and you can search what are the resources available. Broadly, it is divided into human resources like doctors, psychologists, nurses, divers, welders, technicians, all those. Then secondly, equipments like X-ray machines, equipments like JCBs, four-wheel drive jeeps, all those. A big list of resources. And third is critical supplies. So these are the three broad areas of resources which they have divided, and they have a list of resources given there. And if your institution has such resources, this can be reported to your respective district administration. The format is given in this website. You can fill up that format and give it to the district administration, and they are the custodian of the digital platform, in the sense to upload the MHA is the custodian, but the district administration can upload the details. So they have the login credentials, so you can give it to them. And the youth, since all of you are engaged with the youth can be utilized, engaged, especially with respect to social media and digital media, to spread the word with respect to disaster risk reduction, climate change initiatives, In your colleges, you can take measures to bring down the carbon footprint, help them to have a lifestyle free of plastic or less of plastic, recycling. I know many of the campuses do that, including green campuses, how we can make our campus carbon neutral. All sorts of such things can be done at the institution level. Technical and technological solutions can be given. I should give you a example of 2018 floods, where a young team, a startup team from Kerala, came to help the state government in geotagging the people who are stranded and affected due to floods, and where the first responders, uniform forces, should go in priority and rescue them. So they came and sat with the state government and and supported them. And the georeferencing, I mean geotags, in the sense the latitude, longitude, were given to the first responders so that they could go directly to the location, because due to floods we could not look at the roads or you know all those milestones. That is how they helped the, and many such examples can be given. This AI, IT, ITS platforms can be done by the youths. Hackathons, volunteering, definitely volunteering plays a big role in definitely enhancing their resilience, and also once they are safe, they can also support others who are affected due to disasters. Internships are available at the government level in different agencies, especially State Disaster Management Authority. Many students are coming for internship. You can send your students for internships, and in all the district disaster management authorities also they gave a opportunity for students to come and learn. So that also can be explored for especially those students who are um, doing their PG, and they would like to seriously consider doing internship with them. They are generally in government internships. They are not paid, but in some like UNV, UNICEF, and in some UN agencies and some international organizations, they do pay also, for which they have to go through the website regularly. And some startup companies also are there in Kerala and elsewhere. Those who look at giving solutions, community solutions, social problems, all that. In Kerala, just some examples of engaging youths. There is this platform known as Sannadha Sena, Samuhiya Sannadha Sena. This was formed after 2018-19 floods. We have around 4 lakh volunteers in this portal, and 80% of them are youths. So they are given training. There is a directorate of Samuhya Sannadha Sena, directorate of volunteerism in Kerala, which is headed by a director and IAS officer, and it is a well laid program in Kerala. We also have a civil defense force, which is there in most of the states in India. In Kerala, we have around 12,000 plus civil defense volunteers. They are attached to the fire stations. Each fire station has a couple of uh, civil defense volunteers. And at the national level, the National Disaster Management Authority, along with the state disaster management authorities, have Abda Mitra program. 4,500 volunteers are there in Kerala, and 1 lakh volunteers are there across the country in all the states. Abda Mitra. So they also are trained, well trained actually. 12 days of intense residential training given to them with first responders kit and all that, and they are available to help people who are in distress. Abda means disaster in Hindi, so Abda Mitra. And at the local self-government level also, there are some volunteering programs, especially trained by Kerala Institute of Local Administration. The volunteers are known as emergency response teams for first aid, early warning, camp management, relief efforts, and all that. So hundreds of people are there in the local self-government at the institution level. Some of the key institutions in the country: National Disaster Management Authority, National Institute of Disaster Management, including South Campus. One is in Delhi and another one is in Andhra. State Disaster Management Authority in Trivandrum, District Disaster Management Authority in all the districts of India. State authorities are there in all the states also. Civil Defence Institute in Kerala, it is in Thrissur. Fire Academy is also in Thrissur. So these are some strategic institutions with whom you may want to further liaise with for your upcoming drills or programs, all that. Emergency numbers, I'm sure you are aware. If you cannot remember all these numbers, at least remember 112 so that you can call them from your mobile phone's emergency number, and you can check with them the other numbers also. And the district disaster management control room number is 1077, which functions 24/7. Websites from where I took the information, or if you want to look at more details, you can look at all these websites. So coming to a close, I would like to stop with this quote by Khalil Gibran: "Little knowledge that acts as worth than much knowledge that is idle." I hope some of you would have got some information, some new information which could be used in your institution for the safety of yourself and the students. I hope you make use of this information so that the youngsters around us will become more resilient to prepare for disasters and climate change extreme events. So thank you everyone, and thank you Chako sir for giving this opportunity. Now open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. So I next invite Ms. Jyoti CJ, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany and Computational Biology, for delivering the vote of thanks.
If there are any questions, you may ask. Yeah. Yeah, there's a question in the chat box. That is, how is
Yeah,
India?
I'm just.
Yeah. Can you see that question? It's in,
From Nigel
yeah,
Jacob.
Nigel Jacobi.
It's a very relevant question. In Kerala, we have done this a big project with the United Nations Environment Program on nature-based solutions, ECO-DRR we call it, especially working with the MGNREGS program. Not only in Kerala, even in other parts of the country, they have looked at flagship programs, centrally sponsored schemes, as to how such programs can be tweaked so that it will also look at the nature-based solutions in disaster risk reduction. NIDM has also done some activities, and there are some modules to it, which you can maybe Google it and you can find. Definitely, it is a much needed area of work with respect to disaster risk reduction. Okay, any other questions?
I hope there is no other questions. I think so. So, Ms. Jyoti CJ, you can please continue for the vote of thanks. Ms. Jyoti CJ.
Sri Lakshmi, if Jyoti is not available, you can propose the vote of thanks.
Okay, so everyone present here, thank you for coming and listening to the session. It was a wonderful session and very informative one. So thank you, everyone. And last, I request all of you to please turn on your videos so that we can click a picture together. And I remind everyone to share your feedback, which will be the feedback form will be circulating soon. So everyone, can you please turn on your cameras? You can put your mic on the mute and turn on your videos.
Okay, ma'am, it's
Okay. Is it okay? Finished?
yes.
Okay. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, so thank you, Joe, for joining.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. And for the information of those who are from around, Joe is basically from our own city of Thrissur, which has been termed as the learning city by UNESCO.
Okay, thank you, sir, for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.